I want to be honest with you about something. I almost didn't tell this story, not because it isn't true, but because saying it out loud to strangers makes it real in a way I am still not entirely comfortable with.
It means admitting that for 3 weeks of my life, I was completely powerless, that someone knew exactly where I was, exactly what I did, exactly how I lived, and I had no idea who they were. I still don't. My name is James Calloway. I am 36 years old. I work in insurance. I live alone in a 2-bedroom house on a quiet street in a quiet town in Ohio. I am, by every possible measure, an ordinary man. I have no enemies, no complicated past, no reason in the world for what happened to me. It started on a Tuesday, completely normal morning. I woke up at 7, made coffee, checked my phone. I had one new message from an unknown number. No text, just a photo. I opened it. It was a picture of my front door. My actual front door. The green paint that was starting to peel at the bottom left corner. The brass knocker I had never polished. The small crack in the top step that I kept meaning to fix. Every detail exactly right, captured from across the street. I stared at it for a long time. My coffee went cold. I told myself it was a wrong number. Someone had sent it to the wrong person by mistake. It meant nothing. I blocked the number and went to work. The next morning, there was a new message. Different number. One photo. My back garden. Taken from outside the fence. My old wooden chair. The pot of dead herbs I had been meaning to throw away for months. That was the moment the cold feeling started. Not panic, not yet. Just cold. A deep, settling cold that started somewhere in my chest and didn't leave for 3 weeks. I called the police that morning, filed a report. They were polite. They said they would look into it. They took the number, noted the details, told me to save any further messages and contact them if anything escalated. Nothing escalated. It just continued. Every single morning, like clockwork, a new number, a new photo. Always my house. Day 4 was my bedroom window, taken from outside at night. The curtain was half open. My fault. I had always been careless about that. And you could see the glow of my television from inside. I changed all my curtains that same day. Every window, floor to ceiling. I checked every lock. I bought 2 new deadbolts and fitted them myself at midnight with shaking hands in a YouTube tutorial. Day 5. A photo of my car, parked in my driveway. Taken from so close you could see the parking permit on my windscreen and the jacket I had left on the back seat. Day 6. My front garden at dawn. My footprints visible in the light frost on the grass, leading from the front door to the car. Taken while those footprints were still fresh, which meant whoever took that photo was there within minutes of me leaving for work that morning. I called the police again. This time they sent someone round. A young officer who walked the perimeter of my house, checked the garden, checked the fence line. He found nothing. He suggested I install security cameras. I ordered 4 that same afternoon. Had them up by the weekend. Front, back, both sides. Motion activated. Connected to my phone so I'd get an alert the moment anything moved. Day 8. A photo of me installing the cameras. I sat down on my front step when I saw that one. They were watching me. They were close enough to photograph me while I stood on a ladder in my own front garden. And they were confident enough to send me the picture, which meant they weren't afraid of being caught. That is the detail that frightened me most. Not the photos themselves. The confidence behind them. The patience. The complete absence of any demand or explanation. They weren't asking for money. They weren't threatening me. They were just watching and showing me they were watching for no reason I could understand. I started sleeping with the lights on. I stopped going to the garden. I started using the back door only, checking both ways down the alley before I stepped outside. I became a different person in my own home. Nervous, hyper-aware, jumping at every sound. My sister came to stay with me in the second week. She was the only person I told the full story to, and she drove 3 hours without hesitation and arrived at my door with a bag and a look on her face that told me she was more scared than she was letting on. Having her there helped, but the photos kept coming. Day 10, both of us leaving for the supermarket, taken from somewhere down the street. Day 12, my sister on the phone in the living room, captured through the side window I had forgotten to cover. We moved her chair after that. We covered every window again. We made a system. Every night before bed, we did a full check of every curtain, every lock, every camera feed. Day 15, the cameras caught something. At 3:17 in the morning, the motion sensor on the back camera fired. I woke up to the alert and grabbed my phone with a hammering heart and opened the feed. There was a figure standing at my back fence, completely still. Hood up, face angled slightly down so the camera couldn't get a clear shot. Just standing there. Not moving, not climbing the fence. Just standing in the dark, looking at the back of my house. I called the police immediately. They arrived in 11 minutes. By the time they got there, nothing. The figure was gone. But they found something this time. A small mark on the top rail of my fence. A scratch, fresh, like something metal had rested there. And in the ground on the other side of the fence, in the soft mud of the alley, a single boot print. They took casts. They took the camera footage. They told me they were escalating it. 3 days later, they made an arrest. It was a man who lived 4 streets away, 52 years old. He had done this before. 2 other people in 2 other towns. Same pattern, same method, same unnerving silence. The photos were not about me specifically. The detective explained it as a fixation on the act of surveillance itself. He chose targets randomly, ordinary people, and the photographs were a kind of control, a way of existing in someone's life without them knowing. He had been doing it for years. There was no deeper meaning, no personal connection, no reason. That was somehow the strangest part of all. Not that it happened, but that it could happen to anyone. That I was chosen for no reason except that I existed, and he could see my house from a street he walked one afternoon. The photographs stopped. The case went through the system. My sister went home. I took the extra deadbolts off eventually. I started opening my curtains again, slowly, one by one, over the course of several weeks, like learning to trust a space you had been afraid of. I still check the camera feed every night before I sleep. I probably always will. And sometimes I stand at my front window in the morning and look out at the street, the quiet, ordinary street, and I think about how little we actually know about what is happening around us. How close the world is to our windows. How thin the line is between feeling safe and discovering that safety was always just an assumption. I am not telling you this story to frighten you. I am telling it because it changed something in me permanently, in a way that I think was necessary. I used to sleepwalk through my days. I used to take the ordinary for granted. My house, my street, my routine, my safety. Invisible things I never once stopped to appreciate because they had always simply been there. I don't do that anymore. Now, when I lock my door at night and the house is warm and quiet and mine, I notice it. I feel it. I am grateful for it in a way I never was before. Sometimes the things that frighten us are also the things that wake us up. My name is James Calloway. Someone spent 3 weeks sending me photographs of my own house. They were caught. I survived it. And I have never taken a quiet night at home for granted since. Lock your doors tonight, and mean it.